Sixers fans, how we feeling out there? Hey y'all, my name is Lauren Gordon. Some of you may already know me on social media as Lauren Fan of the Year. Others may have just stumbled upon this podcast, but either way, I want to first thank all of you for tuning in to Season 2, Episode 4 of my very first podcast. I'm just a Sixers fan, the Lauren Fan of the Year story. Now let's continue the story. Y'all, the time is now the beginning of February 2020. On February 3rd, I posted, I can't watch anymore. I can only hope Elton brand will make a big move before Thursday's trade deadline. We had just lost to the Miami Heat 106-137. We still had a winning record of 31-20 at the time, but it was still frustrating watching our guys struggle. 3 days later was my 50th birthday. And because my trip to China was canceled, I really didn't have any plans. So I told my family I was going to a Sixers watch party at Parks Casino. My family was like, bet, we'll meet you there. I wore my new Joel Embiid cream-colored City Edition jersey and was looking cute for my birthday. And just like they said, my family showed up. My kids, my mom, my dad, sisters, my niece, my cousin. Y'all, God bless my family. They showed up and celebrated my birthday with me while I was doing what I love to do. 97.5 The Fanatic had a table, and I was able to chat it up with Anthony Gargano. His birthday was around that time. And I remember we took photos, and inside the watch party room was a prize wheel. And again, luck would strike because my mom, my daughter, and my cousin all walked away with prizes. Now, I don't want y'all thinking that I'm selfish and force my family to watch these games or attend these Sixers events. Y'all, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but they're Sixers fans too. We do a lot of family bonding over our Philadelphia 76ers. Remember I told y'all in the last episode how Furkan Korkmaz was playing pretty good? Well, on February the 9th, my guy Korkmaz had 31 points and helped us beat the Bulls 118-111 at home. Furkan was just the second player in Sixers history with 30 plus points in back-to-back games off the bench. Go Furk. Ben Simmons had a triple-double, 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists. And Embiid had a 28-point, 12-rebound double-double. Well, y'all, I remember we had won this game, and afterwards, Embiid did the shh gesture to the fans and appeared to have yelled, "Shut up." Y'all, this was at home, and he did this to the fans. This was clearly in response to the fans booing when we went down by 3 points early in the third quarter, and I believe it was because we had a lead, but then we started playing sloppy and lost the lead. I mean, I get it. It does seem silly to know that we were like booing our players for losing a lead. Now, I don't necessarily agree with booing a player, but I am okay with fans booing due to a lack of effort collectively. And a lot of the times, not to defend the behavior, but fans will boo to get the player's attention. Nothing gets a player's attention more than hearing the fans boo. Full confession here, I have booed, but I don't boo a specific player. I boo the situation. So for the record, I never boo if a player is having a bad night, because no player is on 100% of the time. Now, I will boo if I feel like the team is giving up or they're out there being lazy and just playing sloppy. And for me, it's our way of communication. It's the only real power we have during the game. So when they're doing well, of course, we applaud and we cheer. And when they're not doing well, we boo to let them know that this isn't good. And to do nothing just means we're okay with how they're playing. So in other words, we boo because we care. And yes, y'all, I actually have that statement printed on a t-shirt. I knew Embiid shushing the fans and basically telling us to shut the hell up was not going to go over well with the majority of the fan base. He was already skating on thin ice with the fans, and this brought more attention to Embiid. I remember thinking Embiid just needs to chill. Now, don't get me wrong. These players are human and they have human emotions and responses. And I understood that this was clearly Embiid's reaction to the fans booing. But the last thing I wanted was him to get these fans riled up and turned against him. The following night, Embiid posted on Twitter, quote, "You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain," end quote. Jimmy Butler, who was now in Miami, then commented on that post with, quote, "I know a place where villains are welcome," end quote. And Embiid followed up with, quote, "Damn right, my brother," end quote. Personally, this irritated me. I know that Embiid is known for being a troll, but to me, this was a message to the fans as if to say, you want to treat me as a villain? I can go elsewhere. And as a fan, I was thinking, oh, come on, Embiid. We don't need this drama. Now, remember, I told y'all around this time, I was house hunting. I was looking to buy my first home on my own. My must-haves were, it had to be in good condition, move-in ready, because I didn't want to do a lot of work. I didn't want to be like pulling up carpet, painting, knocking down walls, none of that stuff. At the time, I was living in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment, so I thought it would be nice to have more space. I looked at a few homes, but for the most part, I was not impressed. Then I found a house that I really liked. It was move-in ready, had beautiful hardwood floors. It had the space I was looking for, and it had this beautiful finished basement. And I thought, oh, I could turn this into my Sixers room and finally have the space to display all of my Sixers memorabilia. I really, really wanted that house, and I could totally see myself living there. But I would later be disappointed when hearing the news that the seller decided not to accept my offer and instead go with a cash offer. I was sad and discouraged, and I thought I would never find another house like that. I told my realtor I wanted to stop my house search and try again maybe later in the year. Well, wouldn't you know it, I never deleted the Redfin app, and I got a notification of a house that met my search criteria. It was a beautiful 3-story brick row home with a basement. The house was fully renovated, brand new kitchen, brand new appliances, beautiful floors, neutrally painted, and plenty of space. And the price was well within my budget. I looked at the address and it looked so familiar. Y'all, the house was on the same street as my daughter Corey's house. Oh my goodness. The house was on the same street, just on the very next block. I immediately shared the link with my daughter, and we squealed at the thought of us living just a few houses away from each other. I quickly called my realtor, Rochelle, who arranged for me to do a walkthrough the following day. I was excited to see this property. The next morning, I went to my daughter's house, and she walked with me to see the house. Remember, I told y'all it was literally the next block over. I liked the outside. It had a nice porch, but I didn't like the fact that it was on a busy street. I was like, ugh, it's on street parking. And not to sound bougie or anything like that, but when I was married, every house that we ever lived in had driveways, multiple car garages, and even when I moved into the apartment, there was a huge parking lot. I would have to adjust to living and parking on a busy street, but Corey reassured me, Mom, you'll get used to it. I wanted to keep an open mind, and you know the saying, you can't judge a book by its cover. As soon as I walked in the door, I knew it. It felt like home. I knew it immediately. I knew that God had that other house fall through because this house was meant for me. I went to the basement and I was a little disappointed because it was unfinished. I told my daughter, oh man, the other house had a finished basement. I had my vision for my Sixers room, and now I'd have to wait until I finished the basement. That could be years away. And as we walked through the house, there were 2 extra bedrooms on the 3rd floor. Corey turned to me and said, Mom, there are 3 bedrooms and a bathroom on the 2nd floor, right? And I said, yeah. Why don't you turn one of the rooms on the 3rd floor into your Sixers room? So instead of having a sports cave in the basement, have a sports penthouse on the 3rd floor. I stood in the middle of the empty room and I could see the vision. I'll put the big screen TV there. I'll put a bar there. I have plenty of wall space for photos. I could put my glass cabinet there in the corner, and on the top shelf, I can display my Fan of the Year award. I could put a spotlight on the top of the cabinet. Yes, y'all, the vision was coming to life. And the 2nd bedroom on the 3rd floor could be my home office. This house was perfect. I knew I was home. And I also knew that it would not stay on the market very long. So I told my realtor, Rochelle, let's put in an offer. And on the following day, Rochelle called with some great news. My offer had been accepted. On March 1st, we lost to the Clippers 136-130. We played well, we just came up short. I was still proud of the guys even though we lost because they gave great effort. And we didn't play with our 3 starters for the most part. There was no Embiid, no Simmons, and Josh Richardson had left the game with a concussion. I remember the bench stepping up with the next man up mentality, and I believe Shake Milton had a really good game. Wait, y'all, let me check stats here. Now, on this game, yes, Shake did have a good game. Y'all, my man, Shake the Sniper Milton, had 39 points in 40 minutes, y'all. He had 3 rebounds, 5 assists. Yep, I was right. Shake had a great game, in fact. I love when we win games like that, when we're shorthanded and the guys just rally together and just step up to do whatever it takes to win. And at the same time, I do realize that as much as I would like it, we're not going to win every game. Not every player is on 100% of the time. But when we do have games like this, as a fan, it's beautiful. And that is exactly why I love sports. It's the unpredictability and the element of seeing who wants to win more. On March 5th, we broke the 9-game road losing streak, beating the Sacramento Kings 125-108. And again, we did it without our 3 starters. And I hate to admit it because I never liked him, but even Uncle Al Horford had a good game. Now, around this time, this coronavirus thing was becoming a thing. Hand washing was crucial. Hand sanitizers were everywhere. I believe at this point it was still contained in China and maybe a few isolated U.S. cases, but for the most part, COVID-19 seemed to be a distant threat. No one really took it serious. I remember Utah Jazz player Rudy Gobert jokingly touching all of the microphones after a post-game interview as if to mock the real threat of the virus. Everyone just lived their normal lives at this point. And on March 11th, my daughter Kendall and I went to a home Sixers game against the Detroit Pistons. My dad, my sister Courtney, and my niece Taylor met us at the game. And it felt very eerie because there were hardly any fans. We were minutes away from tip-off, and it felt as if we had arrived to the game like 5 hours early. Like, just imagine just a handful of people. And during my pregame routine, walking around the concourse, there was a player meet and greet with Sixers legend Clint Richardson. For those of you who may not know, Clint Richardson was a part of the '83 Sixers championship team. And normally during these meet and greets, I'm able to hug the players and get up close and whatnot. But this time they had Clint sitting behind a large table. And I remember chatting with him about where's all the fans? Where's the people? And talking about this COVID-19 virus. And I remember instead of us hugging or even doing like a handshake, we just tapped elbows. I remember Kendall and I getting to our seats, and I posted my pregame photos like I always do, including the ones with Clint Richardson with a caption that read, "This could be my last home game in a long time. Trying to live as normal as possible, but it's all very scary. Hashtag YOLO." Y'all, I know this is crazy, but at the time, I was thinking, if anything was to happen to me, let it occur while I am doing something that I enjoy. Plus, I just wanted to keep things as normal as possible. My Facebook friends were concerned that I was out and told me things like, stay safe, be careful. Even watching the game felt a little weird. We ended up winning 124-106, and towards the end of the game, news began to spread that Rudy Gobert, the same player who touched all of the microphones at the press conference, had tested positive for COVID-19. Dear God, it's starting to hit close to home. After the game, Adam Silver announced the suspension of the NBA. What? That's when I knew this COVID-19 thing was serious. Never in my wildest imagination could I ever fathom the NBA shutting down for anything just like that. I made a Facebook post that read, "The NBA, and especially the 76ers, is my escape from the craziness in the world. Now, that craziness is right here, looking us dead in the face. I'm glad the league took the necessary precautions to suspend the season because insane fans like myself would have continued to risk our lives to attend games as long as our guys put on the uniforms." And that was my truth. I felt like if the guys are willing to suit up, I'm willing to be there to cheer them on. The next day, Donovan Mitchell tested positive. Dear God, now what? Are these people going to die? I would then turn to Facebook and post, 24 hours ago, I thought this whole thing was a bad strain of the flu, and I was fine because I'm healthy and I am an excessive hand washer. After the NBA suspended the season with 2 test positive results among players, it made me realize how vulnerable we were with being exposed to this virus, referring to us actually being at the arena for that Detroit Pistons game. It's so scary. Everyone who thinks this is an overreaction, educate yourself. It's not the virus. It's about how fast it can spread. And as a country, we are not prepared. By self-quarantine, it allows the emergency and healthcare personnel to manage this situation without a full-blown outbreak. There is no vaccine. There are not enough test kits to even determine who is infected. For you skeptics who think it's an overreaction, what happens when all of the hospitals are full and there isn't enough medical staff? I pray that it is an overreaction. Isn't it better to overreact than not to react at all? This is serious stuff, folks. At this point, I began to panic. My company made the announcement that until further notice, all office staff would have to work from home. Well, earlier that morning, I had a meeting with my manager who told me that I was given a promotion to manage the administrative staff while working remote. Well, y'all, this promotion came with a nice little pay raise, which was right on time considering I was trying to buy a house. It also came with a very nice office. I'm talking big picture windows and whatnot, but I couldn't even get excited about the office because we were now working from home. So I remember just packing up my computer equipment and saying goodbye to everyone. We had no idea when we'd see each other again. It was kind of scary and sad at the same time, but I remember driving home and setting up my computer equipment on my kitchen table. This was it. Unless you were an essential worker, everyone was now under shutdown order. And I was fortunate enough where I could still keep working from home. Sixers owners Josh Harris and David Blitzer received backlash for not offering pay assistance to the arena workers. Personally, I was good because I could still work remote, but I had genuine concern for my friends who worked at the arena. They weren't Sixers employees. They worked for Wells Fargo Center and for Aramark. If they don't work, they don't get paid. How would this shutdown affect them financially? I believe it was later reported that Josh Harris and David Blitzer would have a change of heart and would make some kind of arrangement to ensure that the arena workers would receive some type of payment, whether it was partial, but at least they would receive something. And I believe Joel Embiid, as well as a lot of the other Sixers players, also made some type of financial contribution. It was a scary time, and it was nice to see people pulling together to support each other. On March 14th, the Sixers organization posted an announcement on all social media platforms. It was titled Phila Unite. Many call you passionate, some call you intense, others call you bold. Above all, we call you family. When tough times hit, family sticks together. So let's be compassionate and look out for each other. The action may have stopped for now, but the love we have for our fans never ends. We're still right here with you. take a moment to share and enjoy your 76ers stories, memories, and our great tradition. We will hoop again. And when we do, it's because of you. All heart, all together. #Phila Unite. Well, y'all, that just made me sad because I was thinking, like, how are things going to be different once all of this is over? Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And be sure to tune in next weekend as we continue the story.